I'll start all over. Sorry. I'm going to read first Mark 7, 1 through 13. One day, some of the Pharisees and teachers of religious law arrived from Jerusalem to confront Jesus. They noticed that some of Jesus' disciples failed to follow the Jewish ritual of hand washing before eating. The Jews, especially the Pharisees, did not eat until they had poured water over their cupped hands, as required by their ancient traditions. Similarly, they eat nothing bought from the market unless they have immersed their hands in water. This is but one of the many traditions they have clung to, such as their ceremony of washing cups, pitchers, and kettles. So the Pharisees and teachers of religious law asked him, "Why don't your disciples follow our old-aged customs? For they eat without first performing the hand washing ceremony." Jesus replied, "You hypocrites! Isaiah was prophesying about you when he said, 'These people honor me with their lips, but in their hearts they are far away. But their hearts are far away. Their worship is a farce, for they replace God's commands with their own man-made teachings. For you ignore God's specific laws and substitute your own traditions. For you ignore," then he said, "you reject God's laws in order to hold on to your own traditions. For instance, Moses gave you this law from God: honor your father and mother, and anyone who speaks evil of father or mother must be put to death. But you say it is all right for people to say to their parents, 'Sorry, I can't help you, for I have vowed to give God what I could have given you.' You let and disregard their needy parents. As such, you break the law of God in order to protect your own tradition, and this is only one example. There are many others." Second Sam 17. 2 Sam 17. Now Ahithophel urged Absalom, "Let me choose 12,000 men and start out after David tonight. I will catch up to him while he is weary and discouraged. He and his troops will panic and will run away. Then I will plot, and I will kill only the king, and I will bring all the people back to you as a bride returns to her husband. After all, it is only this man's life that you seek." Then all the people remained unharmed and peaceful. This plan seemed good to Absalom and to all the others of Israel. But then Absalom said, "Bring in Hushai the Archite. Let's see what he thinks about this." When Hushai arrived, Absalom told him what Ahithophel had said. Then he asked, "What is your opinion? Should we follow Ahithophel's advice? If not, speak up." "Well," Hushai replied, "this time I think Ahithophel has made a mistake. You know your father and his men. They are mighty warriors. Right now they are probably as enraged as a mother bear who has been robbed of her cubs. And remember that your father is an experienced soldier. He won't be spending the night among the troops. He's probably already hidden in some pit or cave. And when he comes out and attacks, and a few of your men fall, there will be panic among your troops, and everyone will start shouting that your men are being slaughtered. Then even the bravest of them, though they have the heart of a lion, will be paralyzed. For all Israel knows what a mighty man your father is, and how courageous his warriors are. I suggest that you mobilize the entire far away as Dan and Beersheba. That way you will have an army as numerous as the sand on the seashore. And I think that you should personally lead the troops. When we find David, we can then descend on him like dew falls on to the ground, so that not one of his men is left alive. And if David escapes into some city, you will have the entire army of Israel there to command. Then we can take ropes and drag the walls of the city into the nearest valley until every stone is torn down. Then Absalom and all the leaders of Israel said, Hashiah's advice is better and Ahithophel, for the Lord has arranged to defeat the counsel of Ahithophel, which really was the better plan, so that could bring disaster upon Absalom. Then Hushai reported to Zodak and Abiathar, the priests, what Ahithophel had said and what himself had suggested, and said, "Quick," he told them, "find David and urge him not to stay at the shallows of the Jordan River tonight. He must go across once into the wilderness beyond. Otherwise, he would die, and his entire army with him." Jonathan and Ahimaaz had been staying at Enrogel so as not to be seen entering and leaving the city. Arrangements had been made for a certain girl to bring them the that message they were to take to King David. But a boy saw them leaving Engro to go to David, and he told Absalom about it. Meanwhile, they escaped to Brunim, where a man hid them inside a well in his courtyard. The man's wife put a cloth over the top of the well with grain on it to dry in the sun so no one would suspect they were there. When Absalom's men arrived, they asked her, "Have you seen Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" She replied, "They were here, but they crossed the brook." Absalom's men looked for them without success and returned to Jerusalem. Then the two men crawled out of the well and hurried on to King David. "Quick," they told him, "cross the Jordan tonight." And they told him how Ahithophel had advised that he be captured and killed. So David and all the people with him went across the Jordan during the night, and they were all on the bank before dawn. Meanwhile, Ahithophel was publicly disgraced when Absalom refused his advice. So he saddled his donkey and went to his hometown, set his affairs in order, and hanged himself. He died there and was buried beside his father. David soon arrived in Mahanaim. By now, Absalom had mobilized the entire army of Israel and was leading his troops across the Jordan River. Absalom had appointed Amasa as commander of his army, replacing Joab, who had been commander under David. Amasa was Joab's cousin. His father was Jether, an Ishmaelite. His mother, Abigail, daughter of Nahash, was the sister of Joab's mother, Zeruiah. Absalom and the Israelite army set up camp in the land of Gilead. When David arrived at Mahanaim, he was warmly greeted by Shobi, son of Nahash, of Rabbah, the Ammonite, and by Machir's son, Emiel, of Lodebar, and by Barzillai of Gilead, from Rogerim. They brought sleeping mats, cooking pots, serving bowls, wheat and barley, roasted grain, beans, lentils, honey, butter, sheep, and cheese for David and those who were with him. For they said, You all must be very tired and hungry, and thirsty after your long march through the wilderness. 1 through 19. Daniel 11, 1 through 19. Now then, I will reveal the truth to you. 3 more Persian kings will reign, to be succeeded by a fourth, far richer than the others, using his wealth for political advantage. He will stir up everyone to war against the kingdom of Greece. Then a mighty king will rise to power, who will rule a vast kingdom and accomplish everything he sets out to do. But at the height of his power, his kingdom will be broken apart and divided into 4 parts. It will not be ruled by the king's descendants, nor will the kingdom hold the authority it once had, for his empire will be uprooted and given to others. The king of the south will increase in power, but one of this king's own officials will become more powerful than he is and will rule his kingdom with great strength. Later, some years, an alliance will be formed between and the king of the north and the king of the south. The daughter of the king of the south will be given in marriage to the king of the north to secure their alliance, but she will lose her influence over him, and so will her father. She will be given up along with her supporters. But when one of her relatives becomes king of the south, he will raise an army and enter the fortress of the king of the north and defeat him. When he returns to Egypt, he will carry back their idols with him, along with priceless gold and silver dishes. For some years afterwards, he will lead the kingdom of the north alone. Later, the king of the north will invade the realm of the king of the south, but he will soon return to his own land. However, the sons of the king of the north will assemble a mighty army that will advance like a flood and carry the battles as far as the enemy's fortress. Then the king of the south, in great anger, will rally against the vast forces assembled by the king of the north and will defeat them. After the enemy army is swept away, and the king of the south will be filled with pride and will have thousands of his enemies killed. But his success will be short-lived. A few years later, the king of the north will return with a fully equipped army far greater than the one he lost. At that time, there will be a general uprising against the king of the south. Lawless ones among your own people will join them in order to fulfill the vision, but they will not succeed. Then the king of the north will come closely and lay siege to a fortified city and capture it. The best troops of the south will not be able to stand in the face of the onslaught. The king of the north will march onward unopposed. No one will be able to stop him. He will pause in the glorious land of Israel, intent on destroying it. He will make plans to come with the might of his entire kingdom and will form an alliance with the king of the south. He will give him a daughter in marriage in order to overthrow the kingdom from within, but his plan will fail. After this, he will turn his attention to the coastal cities and conquer many. But a commander from another land will put an end to his insolence and cause him to retreat in shame. He will take refuge in his own fortress, but will stumble and fall, and he will be seen no more. That was today's 15 minutes of beautiful biblical Bible gloriousness. Kind of late today, but it's never too late for God. God's timing is always on time.